Okay, so this is our August edition of the LT and SLC professional development webinars. This is, I think, must be the eighth one this year, and it's been a really interesting range of webinars covering a really wide range of topics within healthcare and within teaching English in healthcare in particular. Oh, lots of people. Moscow, Corfu, amazing. Okay, great to see people. So before I hand over to Roz, I'm just going to give you a little bit of an introduction to ELTHI and SLC. I'm going to talk a little bit about the upcoming English for Healthcare conference for those of you who don't know about it. Can't be that many people who don't know about it now. So I'm just going to share my screen very briefly. So this is ELTHI. ELTHI is the unique global association for professional development of the teaching of English for healthcare. It's been around now for nearly 15 years and organizes webinars, has a host of resources for members, lesson plans, worksheets, links to research, etc., etc. We do these webinars monthly, and we are co-hosting the upcoming English for Healthcare conference. Member benefits, if you're not a member, I can urge you please to sign up. It's only, if I click on member benefits, you can see it's only €55. So the price has been €55 for many years. So it's a brilliant price. So I urge you to take advantage if you're not a member already. If you are coming in from a university, perhaps think about institutional memberships where you have 4 of you who can access all the resources that ELTHI offers, as well as regular newsletters, etc., etc. So this is ELTHI. ELTHI is something that I'm on the organising committee with, along with Roz and some other people that you probably know, people like Professor John Skelton, for example. We work with specialist language courses, which I also am very much part of. Specialist language courses, we publish medical English materials. They're used by teachers around the world to deliver medical English courses. They're like kind of digital textbooks, if you like. So they are, highly sequenced courses in medicine, pharmacy, care, radiography, as well as grammar, terminology, etc., etc. We have an institutional license whereby a university can offer all the content to all of their students, should they wish, or a selection of students, could be just for medicine, just for nursing, etc., to their students at a very low price from €6 upwards. So please get in touch with me if this might be of interest to you and your teachers. So this is what we do. We publish medical English content. We work a lot with universities, nursing colleges, healthcare associations, healthcare employers. And then finally, together with the Jagiellonian University in Krakow, ELTHI is hosting the 7th International English for Healthcare Conference. It's on September the 11th and 12th, so just over a month away. We've got a really exciting lineup. We've got a couple of great plenaries, one from Dr. Andy Ward about empathy. He gave a webinar recently. Helen's been great to see you at the conference. And Joanna too, also talking at the conference, I believe. So it's a really great lineup. Yeah, we have Dr. Andy Ward, who is also a keynote at the Clinical Communication Conference in Belfast. He gave a webinar here. And then we have Rachel Roberts, who gave a really interesting, thought-provoking webinar at IATEFL, and she's working that within the medical English space. So a really interesting plenary from Rachel as well. And then a great lineup of presentations and workshops. If you haven't signed up, please do so. Because we're in partnership with a Polish university, the price is really low. It's only about €150. Krakow is really easy to get to. There's loads of amazing accommodation options. If you want to join us for the meal, it's a great big traditional Polish restaurant, super cool food and atmosphere. And Krakow, of course, is full of great places to see. It's got this huge medieval square, as well as lots of nice cafes, bars, etc. So please do join us. Englishforhealthcare.com for more information. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen there, and I'm going to hand over to Ros without any further ado to introduce Joanna. So over to you, Ros.
Okay, all right. Hi, everybody. Lovely to see everybody. And so nice that you could join us in the middle of August. Well, the beginning of August, right in the middle of your vacation time. So thank you for joining us. We've got Joanna Cretu here with us today, and she's become fairly well known over the last couple of years in various sectors of English language teaching. But of course, she's best known for her work in English for healthcare. And if you haven't met Joanna before, she is a medical translator. She's an OET preparation partner. She has a PhD in education and an MA in TEFL. So she's pretty well versed in our industry. So today she's going to look at and hopefully help us and give us lots of ideas about how to improve intonation. You know, those sort of robotic sounding voices that we often hear from our students, usually totally unintentional. And we try our best to help them get over that so that they sound more authentic, more empathetic with their patients, etc. But it isn't easy. And Joanna's here to talk to us about how she goes about it and give us lots of ideas about that. And she has promised that there is no need for any fancy. So welcome, Joanna. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. I have to say, I sincerely hope my laptop is up to the job today because it seems to be quite slow. So hopefully this works. Give me 1 second to set up. Okay, can you see the slide here?
Yes, we can. It's not on full,
Yeah. Perfect.
but we can see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Great. Well, you did a great job. Thank you very much summarizing my CV. But then I don't have to say all of those formal things. But I would like to say about myself that I'm very process oriented. I like messy. I like fluid. I don't delegate my curiosity, and I'm very stubborn about not doing that, regardless of how much technology I use. I like to solve problems. I like to partner with my clients rather than teach them in a traditional sense. And I find all my work a lot of fun. I'm an independent specialist, which means I can flex around and don't depend on any institution or agenda to organize my work. So now I have to address the clickbaity title. When we speak flat and robotic, we're still human. It can be very human to sound flat and robotic. It can be due to being tired, being stressed, speaking in a different language, trying to transfer your experience in your native language and culture like to a different one, being frustrated, or just thinking very hard about something, so cognitive overload. So there are lots of reasons why people may sound flat and robotic and still be very human. I want to address that from the very beginning. Also, I want to address the fact that humanizing, I don't mean it as in prettifying or sterilizing. Not at all. And also, I'm not here to convince you that intonation matters in healthcare communication. I'm going to assume you're here because you're already convinced of it. We are going to briefly go through some of the reasons why, but today is much more practical. And because it's summer, we're going to keep it light and fun, hopefully. Okay, so previously, the first time I showed bits and pieces of what I do with this was last year in Edinburgh at IATEFL, my first IATEFL conference, picture in the upper right. And the reaction at that table was great. I didn't really expect people to be so surprised and excited with what I was showing. And so I turned that into the main talk in Brighton earlier this year, which is the other picture that you see. And the reactions there were fantastic. Oh, wow. Very excited about that. And they turned into other conversations. They turned into a private demo session and into this webinar. So here we are. And the plan today, roughly speaking, who knows me already knows that I don't always stick to plans and times. So we're going to go a bit through prosody basics just to get into it and try a couple of tools and make it quickly practical. And I'm going to use a lot of client samples. All of them are used with prior consent and hopefully lots of time for discussion and considering all the implications, the complications, the tribulations, the etc. And by the end of this session, hopefully you feel like this participant from my talk in Brighton yesterday, she wrote to me saying that she's already integrating the tools into her coaching services and into a pronunciation course at her institution. She can't wait to pilot the tools with her geeky students. Yeah, so hopefully you feel the same. And if not, well, that's fine too. Also, today we focus and the examples are going to be mainly from healthcare, but it's perfectly transferable to other fields like you see here in computer science. And I know I've seen Evan Frendel, I think, joining us today. Hi, Evan, if you're there, he's into business. So I don't think it's restricted to healthcare communication necessarily. But first, just in case anyone here is not feeling well, I called the doctor. So let me know if you hear this. Let me know in the chat if you hear this. Can you hear it? Okay. Okay, great. That's my tech check, just so you know. And this was recorded yesterday morning at the foot of the Mont Blanc by a friend of mine who happens to be a cardiologist. And this is her doctor. This Pappuccino is brilliant at imitating ambulances. So the entire ambulance fleet of France has been summoned at the foot of the Mont Blanc for us, just in case. Okay, so no, not blue. Blue has a very different tone. Okay, prosody basics. Intonation, yeah, Roz mentioned. Prosody sounds a little bit more obscure, but it's basically the music of speech. Think about sound frequencies, pitch, yeah, but also speed, how fast we speak when we slow down, how loud or soft we speak, and things like that, and just the voice quality. Sometimes our voices have more metal. That's how it's called. Musicians call it metal in the voice. I still don't get that. But anyway, so these would be some of the features that we put together when we talk about prosody. Now, it's complicated. It depends on so many different things. Yeah, it depends on the language. We're going to look at a couple of examples. It depends on the speaker, obviously. And the speaker speaks differently in the morning and then at dinner Um, the listener too, it depends a lot on that. It depends on the setting, from the acoustics of the room to the context and the hierarchy and the, hidden iceberg of things that are going on, the culture, and so just so many things. It's not an exact science at all, although we can make it quite, technical. Now, why should we care? So we use prosody, all those features, yeah, to encode, decode, but also to predict. And I put that in the middle. I'll show you in a minute why. And I've grouped these roughly just for simplicity. Yeah, info, as in we encode information, we decode information, we predict information, what people mean to say, including clarity and structure. The intention, which is also information, the attitude, also information. What's important? Yeah, we get that from intonation. There's a lot of interpersonal stuff that's going on with building a relationship or destroying it, or building rapport, establishing hierarchy, and all the conversation dynamics, the taking turns. Am I asking a question or am I making a statement? All of that is very much encoded in prosody. And there's a lot of intrapersonal stuff that's going on. We use as listeners, yeah, as interlocutors, we read people's nonverbals and also the paraverbals in this case, and the nonverbals to regulate ourselves. Like, am I safe here? Do I trust this person? Am I feeling reassured? Is this even interesting? Yeah, and so on. So surely you can already see how this plays into healthcare. And we can take a minute. Although I've got a lot of stuff prepared, but let's take a second to consider our experiences of how, prosody matters in healthcare settings. Think about your experience as a patient yourself, or as a carer, maybe a parent, not just as a teacher trainer. I assume that today you joined the webinar mostly wearing the hat of the trainer, but think of, put yourself in a healthcare setting also as yourself. From my end, I'm thinking as a patient, if I try to think about how I used prosody to decode what. Do you even care? It's a question on my mind, yeah. And I'm very careful as a patient to read the doctor's intonation and all of that to get a sense like, is this person even listening to me? Do they even care? Should I disclose this or that to them? Am I safe here? And also then as a carer, as a friend, as a member of staff, as a teacher, as a trainer, quite a lot of times we express empathy without necessarily using empathetic language. It's just that the language that we use, we say it in an empathetic way, and that fulfills that function. For example, I catch myself a lot of times saying, I understand, and I catch my clients, healthcare professionals, saying, I understand, which is very abstract and conceptual and intellectual compared to, I see, I hear you, I get it. But the way you say I understand may sound detached or may sound quite empathetic. Expressing, and decoding uncertainty and urgency and hierarchy. So the cardiologist who recorded the ambulance video just earlier today, I spoke with her on the phone, plotting, and she gave me like a spontaneous example of from her experience in her dynamics as a cardiologist in the hospital. So not with the patients necessarily, but with the staff. And she said, well, Joanna, even if you have the same thing said in the exact same way, with the exact same intonation, it depends who says it. Because if it comes from this person, I will be off or on my feet, executing immediately. If it comes from the other person, I will find it impertinent. It's very, very contextual. Let's see in the chat, Stephanie says, yeah, rate and word stress. Mhm. Yes, word rate and stress. Yeah, rate. I remember I was got injured in France, and although the doctor, I speak French, and the doctor was speaking slowly, it was way too fast because my brain was in shutdown. How do I get home? Is my knee okay? Etc. Etc. Um, yeah, great examples coming in the chat. Okay, done with the theory. Are we ready to play? Um, Which, put in the chat, which is a question and which is a statement? Very difficult question today. So you have on the screen like a plotting of the pitch. Actually, I've got one better. I'm going to exit the PowerPoint and we're going to go to one of our tools today, which is a live pitch plotter. It's an open source. So let's do this live and hopefully it works. Let me run it. Ready? 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 Could you see the difference? It works better when you're not zooming, I have to say. My laptop is struggling to manage all of it. So this is free open source, just live pitch visualizer. Yeah, and you can run it. For example, um, you tell me. So let's do a little test. So I'm gonna say a thing twice. Number one, so which is the question and which is the statement? Yeah, so let's try it. Let's see. He doesn't have any allergies, does he? I'll do that again. He doesn't have any allergies, does he? So that's number one. I'll say it one more time. He doesn't have any allergies, does he? That's one. Now the second one. He doesn't have any allergies, does he? He doesn't have any allergies, does he? That's number two. I'll do it again. He doesn't have any allergies, does he? Okay, so which of these two was a question? Number one or number two? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the intonation rises, yeah, or both, yeah. Uh, yeah, it's very, very, very contextual. But as a general pattern, rising intonation often suggests that there's some kind of interest there, some kind of elicitation, some kind of question. So yeah, most of the times it would be as you say. Yes. And let's try another one. Again, let's do the same. Which one is a request? Number one. Can we move on? Can we move on? Can we move on? Number two. Can we move on? Can we move on? Can we move on? Hillary says the second one. One. Okay. Yeah, so I think it's a lot of it matters a lot what happened before, what happened after, what the situation is, how things are going. Um, Alone in isolation, it's very difficult to tell what's going on. And I would, as a result, pedagogically discourage teaching things in isolation necessarily. Okay, let's move on to another tool where we can actually change the pitch. And let's see if this one works. Okay, let me try it. Ready? Okay, there it is. Okay, so this up here you see the sound waves, yeah? And here you see the pitch that was plotted by this little tool. Let's make it go down. Let's see how it sounds. Sorry. Ready? Oh, sorry, I think I need to try again. Excuse me. Ready? Okay, yeah. So I said ready, and you see my voice going up, and I'm gonna drag these down very intuitively, and this would hopefully not sound as a question anymore. Ready? Ready? I'm not very happy with the result. Yesterday it worked better. Let's try another one. Can we move on? And let's bring it down. And let's see. Can we move on? Well, I'm not noticing much of a difference today. Yesterday was much better when I checked. But the idea is that if you need to kind of amplify something or bring something slightly down to illustrate how it might sound differently without using some kind of fancy software that you need to pay for, you could try this one, which in good live demo fashion isn't working great right now. What can you do? Now, it will depend a lot. So when I was playing with it, just to make sure I've got something in case the technology crashes, it was listening to me better. As you hear the differences. So it's very visual how we can show pitch and very intuitive at the same time. And one reason to use really simple tools rather than go fancy is because healthcare professionals and clients are very good at lots of different things, but their buffer is full, and it's very difficult to want to be motivated to learn new software temporarily just for a particular, limited purpose. So the simpler it can be, the better, ideally with no learning curve that involves the technology. Yeah, can we move on? Can we move on? Can we move on? And this was the pitch modifier I was using yesterday. Now, I mentioned predict. There's an interesting study that you might want to check out if you're interested. Turns out our very quick brains are very good at predicting based on how things sound. So there's been this experiment where the researchers got people to put the candy or the candle above the square. So depending on the intonation, even if candy and candle sound pretty much similar when the word begins, they end differently. Depending on the intonation, people were already able to predict, and their eyes went to the candy or the candle, depending on that. So apparently, it's also very helpful in predicting. So when someone has had years and decades and a lifetime of experience in a certain language or certain dialect, then their brain is able to do all of these things really, really, really quickly. Whereas when you're communicating in a new language, or in a different language, or in a different dialect, you're not stupid. It's just that your brain doesn't have all of that prediction built in already. The patterns are slightly different. And patterns actually do differ between different languages, and I should have said that earlier. We are talking today about English, which is very flexible. It's an intonation language where intonation can move flexibly, and even when you have the grammar of a question, you can make it sound very not like a question, or you can change, the way you put the stress and change the meaning. There are languages, and I will acknowledge my ignorance here, but a lot of people, if not most people on the planet, speak languages that are tone languages where you don't get to choose, because otherwise, if you want to call for your mother, you might be calling for the horse instead. I hear about Mandarin Chinese, for example. I wouldn't know because I don't speak it, but it doesn't work the same in every language. So depending on what language the learner is comfortable in, gotta be aware a little bit of those differences. And if we think about, for example, Romanian is very flexible with we encode a lot in intonation. And then there are some languages kind of in between, like phrase languages, where there are certain set phrases that have certain functions, and you don't the intonation is always going to be pretty much the same in terms of general pattern. For example, it's the doctor who should call the family. You can say that in a number of different ways, but if you're going to say it in French, c'est le médecin qui doit appeler la famille, c'est le médecin qui, c'est le médecin qui doit, that sort of phrasing, it wants the stress to always fall in a certain word. C'est le médecin qui da. So we need to be mindful of that. Now, clients, yes. Let's see how we're doing with time. Okay, good. This is another piece of open source software. I showed a lot of it in Brighton. Today I'm diversifying, if you want. So here's our first client. I'm gonna look at it. I recorded the screen basically. So we've got an obstetrician preparing for the OET exam, and we were role playing about migraines. You're gonna hear me for a bit, and then the obstetrician who self-named Dr. Robot.
And what was the other question? How often does it come, and in which part of your head do you feel it? It's on. It starts on the right side.
Yeah. So as you go, oh, no.
And which part of your head?
No. I want to pause. Okay, I'm gonna let it go. So you can hear how robotic she sounds in these role plays, and this was her general pattern. She was like sounding.
And what was the other question?
That's me.
How often does it come, and in which part of your head do you feel it? It's on. It starts on the right side.
I'm gonna let it run. So here's another role play with pregnancy.
Hard waiting and sitting in bed.
And now reassuring.
I understand. I can imagine it's really hard, but you don't have to stay in the bed the whole day, so you can go for a walk. But you should avoid training or any physical activities which can be.
Yeah, that was Dr. Robot there.
Good afternoon, doctor. So I have some discomfort down there, if you know what I mean.
This is dermatology.
I have some when I go to the toilet, like I feel some pain, and I feel like I want to go to the toilet really often, but when I go, like nothing really happens.
So this is speaking naturally.
I understand that must be uncomfortable. Can you explain a little bit more about it? What do you mean by going to the toilet?
Yeah. Here's another role play with a pharmacist.
I have situation. I don't know how to handle it. I made a pregnancy test, and it seems that I am pregnant. This is a surprise for me. I don't know how to deal with it. Okay, I understand. So you already took a pregnancy test, and it was positive, as you said.
Mm-hmm. Okay, time to bring in Dr. Zeus with green eggs and ham. I'll explain in a second, but I don't want to pause it.
Do you like green eggs and ham?
Uh-huh. Okay. More interrogative. Do you like green eggs and ham?
Practicing now, yeah? Practicing.
Yeah. Okay. Do you like green eggs and ham?
Uh-huh. Now ask it as if you were not really asking, but kind of inviting and tempting.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like green eggs and ham?
Do you like green eggs and ham?
Yay! Mm-hmm. Victory.
Would you like them in a house? Would you like them with a mouse? I don't know. Okay. Now I understand, because my little sister was always by this competition where you have to speak like, you have to like tell a poem or. Or something like that. Yeah. But obviously, and I was like really the anti-talent for this thing.
You're gonna be a champion by the end.
Yeah. I do not like them in a house. I do not like them with a mouse.
It was like,
I do not like them in a house. I do not like them with a mouse. I do not like them here or there. I do not like them anywhere.
Yeah, playing with Dr. Zeus. Yeah, and again, now role playing through.
Okay, I understand. So, are you taking your medication? I understand. I can imagine it's really hard, but you don't have to stay in the bed the whole day. You can go for a walk, but you should avoid training or any physical activities which can be burden for your body.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And one more?
Ms. Smith, now that we finish your examination, we can talk a little bit more about your symptoms. Can you tell me a little bit more about your pain?
Well, yes, it's just like a burning pain.
Yeah. And just discussion.
I thought it wasn't me. When I saw this, I thought it wasn't me for sure. Now when I saw it, so when you show me,
I
saw that it was definitely not me who like. Well, so it's surprising.
That was. Remember, this was you.
And somehow it's already working, because sometimes when I react, I'm like, okay, that was not a good reaction, because we already speak about it, that actually I shouldn't react like that. And so it's getting better. Somehow I have to like, bring it in practice to like, not just like the idea in my head.
Yeah, and she got the exam, first attempt.
So I really liked also that we worked on my intonation, because every time in the morning we have to speak about what happened in the night shift, and I'm always like monotonous there, and they're always laughing that the biggest emergency sounds like the relaxing thing. When I say it, it's like really horrible something, and I say, yeah, it happened, and something like that. And they're always laughing on it. And Yeah, I think it was really good that we worked on that. So I definitely have like probably now 100 years to work on it more, but I found it really good, and I found it really good how you introduced it with these fairy tales, and I realized it that when I say something to children, I like more, I like to be more, I like to use more intonation things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what you heard is here. I wasn't sure it was going to work, so we have it also written out, transcribed. Now I'm looking at the time. We do have a few more minutes to look at another client, Mr. Snooze. This is him self-assessing, and now that I've plotted it using Tony, this open source piece of software from university. It's very, very simple, and you can see the way he speaks is always going down, 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 down. And when he was able to see it, he was able to call it out, yeah, and notice the pattern. He didn't need telling what the pattern was. So the thing is with these, with such people, they're very good at what they do. They are very visual. They're very good at analyzing graphs, ECGs, visual data, visual learners, visual professionals. And so why not use that as a strength? Yeah. So since he noticed his pattern was going down, 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 well, it's not a bad thing. Let's make it a good thing and start there. So here's an example.
The sun did not shine. It was too wet to play. So we sat in the house all that cold, cold, wet day.
Perfect. What's wrong with that? Nothing. So when people okay, I feel like people are telling me I sound flat and monotone, which is the feedback he was getting and why he contacted me for such work together. Well, okay, we don't have to start from a place of feeling bad and inferior. The way you say things can be extremely, totally appropriate in certain settings. So that's a great starting point. We're using Dr. Seuss stories. I have them right here with me. Okay. And then you get dynamics. It's a great story that introduces a lot of dynamics. Have a listen.
Okay, but our fish said, no, no, make that cat go away.
Aha. Yeah. We had lots of discussions and planning about how would you say this and how would you say that, and then try it out and see how it looks immediately, and make it very playful and fun, and not, it can get very cringy very fast, but cringe can be fun.
Okay,
Okay, so this is Dr. Snooze reflecting on day one when going from 0 to hero, as you can see in these screenshots taken by my note taker. Yeah, he could see the possibilities. He was so excited, and it was very touched when he said, I'm willing to just put myself in the position to actually get over this. I don't want to make this important anymore. And that's an important point, because if you're stressed about it and focusing on it, it's not going to turn out natural. That's not going to be that organic. Obviously, what else you can do is you can select or have the client select speakers that they like, that sound good. One TED talk that I like to use, and just the first minute is more than enough. The first minute has lots of prosody juice in it, from Graham Hill about being a weekday vegetarian. We were, why am I not a vegetarian? I want us to, how could we ask it? How would it sound if the stress were on why?
Why am I not a vegetarian?
Why am I not a vegetarian? What if that's not the question? Can you put the stress on I?
Yeah. Why am I not a vegetarian?
Yeah, why am I not a vegetarian? Yeah? Notice that it's a different question.
Okay. Yeah, and it started getting more dynamic in our role plays. Listen to this one. We were role playing about returning back to fitness and health and
Okay, so Joanna, can I challenge you then? If this is still a priority for you and you feel for you to actually get started on this, you need to have that conversation with your therapist. Can I challenge you to take action and not, leave this conversation at the level of intentions and just words? Okay, so
Yep. Okay. Now, I mentioned earlier, it's not just about pitch. We were looking a lot at pitch, but there's also about, the energy, the sound, the loudness, how you fill the space with the sounds that you make. That's a big part of it. And here's how a spectrogram looks, actually two compared
this
side
is the
by
top of
side.
the mountain for you, where you finally have the energy for your kids, you have the body that you've always wanted, and you finally have the skills. Imagine yourself leaner, stronger, more confident. What would that mean to you? Losing weight is great, but imagine adding strength. That's the real transformation.
I want to make a point here. You could see on the spectrogram that the top one is kind of busier. Like there's a lot of noise on it. That's the sound quality, especially when when you consider I don't know, telemedicine, speaking on the phone, or broadcasting something, or not being in the same room. The quality of the sound really does matter. And as a bonus, I recommend, I'll drop in the chat the link, another really simple one, the Auditory Lighthouse. We'll see if we have time for this, depending on how many questions we have. It's a way to live show the loudness of the sound with color. It's very visual, very intuitive. Now, Mr. Snooze reflects. This is worth listening to. So he's five sessions.
But yeah, these role plays are extremely useful for me because you can get to see what I think it's actually even more useful than reviewing what I do in the course, because you can give me like the time that you spend on watching the whole call, you can just spend on giving me real-time feedback, because I'm doing the same mistakes in the course and here. But yeah,
So, useful resources, tons of resources out there, but my suggestion is engage your client in providing the samples, producing the samples, and if they're with other people in other settings, careful with, make sure your client gets permission and that you get permission in turn. The tools that I mentioned and a couple of others, the one that's I think most popular is Pratt. I didn't choose it today, and I'm not using it with my clients because it's still a little bit complex. I like to strip it down to the bare, like, make it as simple as possible. So the ones that I would use mostly is Ampage, Retone, Farson, Tony, Sony, and Audacity. And the bottom line is help the ears to see and the eyes to say. And the eyes will say. We don't need to, wake up the monsters that can really get in the way of intonation using demos, samples, good, bad examples in context, always in context, playing, experimenting, and then, deploying. And it's actually not that linear. I would make it more of a loop or a spirally thing. Now, I'm very eager to discuss the fine lines and implications. I do have my ideas about it. Notice that the results were quick and spectacular, but they're not stable unless people practice. That's why the technology needs to be really simple so that people can just jump on it and use it. What we were talking about, always looking at things in context, about making cringe fun, about starting from a place of authenticity. We're not trying to prettify or sterilize anything here. And very important, not for today, but related to today, it's gonna, it's not gonna be perfect. There's gonna be misunderstandings. So, in addition to working on intonation, teaching skills for checking and repairing understanding in a professional communication context, and especially in a healthcare communication context, that goes a long, long way. Now, thank you, Sufuju. And any questions, thoughts, suggestions, happy to discuss. Um, Now, for the minutes remaining, or in Krakow in person. So, Roz?
All right. Thank you so much, Jana. Wonderful. Um, a lot of great insight there from your learners as well as from yourself. I mean, it was interesting. I mean, a couple of people noted that, how aware they actually were. But obviously the visual helped, without the visual. And I'm so guilty of that myself with learners. I have upset a learner fairly recently by suggesting that, sort of the quality of her voice was, was going to have an impact on her OET speaking score, and luckily she did pass first time, which was good. But I do feel that had I had a better sort of approach, and using this sort of visualization technique, it just would have clicked so much better, and we wouldn't have had that kind of little awkwardness where she suddenly felt a bit got at. So thank you for that. I shall be using those going forward. Now, we do have Neil, who has asked several questions. I'm just trying to see which one to ask first.
Yeah, I always try things first, but no, it's not going to work out exactly. So my retoning of ready yesterday worked like a charm. I made it sound, like a question, not like a question, like an order, depending on it. But then today I didn't want to. Okay, well, what can you do? Yeah, and then sometimes you do want to sound a little bit abrasive.
Right. I try to avoid it. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Sometimes, what can you do?
Indeed. So one of Neil's questions is, okay, how technical do you get in terms of meta language when explaining the relationship between aspects of prosody and meaning? Or is it the case that software that you're using is enough to raise awareness and potentially impact on long-term client production? Okay, so that's nice.
So a couple of questions in there. It depends who I'm working with. Some people like meta language. In if I'm working with Romanian healthcare professionals, I understand their educational background. I've been there, I've done that. I like gazillion grammar lessons, etc., etc. We use meta language a lot when we talk about language. We know it. It's helpful. Why not? And some of my clients actually feel like they appreciate that inside information. With other people, they couldn't care less about it. And so I develop all these intuitive ways, or just point to with my finger, look here, or just analogies, like peak and say spike, and I adapt. Is the question. What was the other question? Sorry.
Sorry. Or is it a case that the software that you're using Isn't
Ah,
raise awareness and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
potentially impact?
Well, I try to use software that doesn't require the meta language. That's something
Right.
that is visually intuitive. Like if I work with a doctor that's been looking at ECGs for years, they know how to talk about the ST segments, etc., etc. I'm fine if they can bring that language in, but I don't need to, load them with technical language. And if I want them to use, because as I said, it's very spectacular, very fast. Within a single session, they're like, "Whoa, look what I could do! I did the." But then it's not stable, so they do need to go back at it and try it again and do it again. And about what Mr. Snooze was saying with you don't need to watch all my client calls. uh, I actually struck a compromise and made it in the middle, like you watch your client calls. Tell me what minute do I watch?
Exactly.
And what am I looking at? And
Yeah,
what the
yeah.
question is.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm.
And so we did some of that. So I try to avoid and I'm sure I know Pratt is absolutely fantastic. That I no doubt that's why it's the most popular among people with this kind of interest. But
Praat, that's the Praat, Praat.
yeah. So um, it's I tinkered with it. I participated in a webinar about it. Um, and I'm not an expert, so I was approaching it as a non-expert. And I found it like fascinating. If I want to, go down the rabbit hole, sure. But I don't want to go down the rabbit hole. I don't have time.
Mhm,
I'm not a
mhm.
phonology expert. My clients are not phonology experts. I'm an expert in solving problems. What's the next problem?
Yes, that's generally what we do, isn't it? Experts in
Yeah.
solving problems. Yeah, yeah. Um, I mean, I personally, I work with a lot of clinicians, nurses as well, who are going to go and work in the UK or with with UK patients or in the US, etc. But I mean, obviously, there's and so much of this is really really useful for some of us on this call because of the work that we do with OET candidates and as I say, clinicians coming to work in an English speaking country. But one of the questions that Neil asks is about this sort of impact on the native, non-native communication
Yes.
discussion. And, to what extent is there any evidence of the impact of this in those settings?
Neil, if you want us to research that, we can. I don't have the bibliography for that with me right now. I can speak anecdotally from my own experience. Um, from where I'm sitting, we like my Romanian clients, for example, we do approach English as kind of, oh, English, oh, yeah. It's like the holy grail to sound. And actually, Mr. Snooze, when he first approached me, he said, "I want to sound American." Okay, okay. Oh, all right. So we do feel like this, native accent. There's some kind of the holy grail. I'm more with uh, getting people sold on efficiency and effectiveness and endearing yourself the way you are and
Mhm.
not like reframing the way you view yourself first, as in like your little quirks and the things that you bring from your language, from your culture. As long as you get into the habit of checking understanding, repairing understanding, sharing
I think, I
two-way.
mean, that
Yeah.
point is yeah. So along with this, coupled with communication strategies to
Yes.
and refine
It can
and
be a
etc.
great relationship builder. I was talking earlier. It was like about feedback. It was with a different client of mine. Was saying from a different country. He was saying, "I never know what these people think about me." Because they don't like they say like and he says no, you know what the Brits will do? The Brits will go sound very interesting, go, and leave and never talk to you again. And like, whereas in my country, we're very direct and very blunt. And then there is a tomorrow.
All right. Well, on that note, this Brit is going to terminate the conversation.
Yes. Well,
thank you so much, Joanna. Thank you so much. And thanks everybody for attending
thanks
today's
everyone.
session.
Have a great rest of the summer.
Yes, exactly. And we'll be back webinar-wise in October with Jonathan McFarland talking about humanizing medicine. And in November, we'll have Virginia Allam talking to us about video creation. So thank you very much to everybody today. And for those who we are able to see in Krakow, we look forward to seeing you there. Thank you.
Yeah, see you in Poland.